What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. So, I just now had this idea, and I'm gonna do a mukbang, a story time mukbang thing. And this is crazy because I feel like this is why God wanted me to tell this story or whatever. Like, God is so good and amazing, I swear. So anyway, so long story short, Jesus helped me to articulate this story. I know what happened, but give me the proper words in order to tell it. Give me the memory and the details. And I pray that this video would reach whoever it needs to reach or whatever. So anyway, long story short, not even long story short, we'll just tell it. So this is what I'll say first. Okay. God is a God of accountability. God is like, you did something wrong. You can go say sorry and make it right if that's what it is. And 9 times out of 10, those are those beautiful moments. But anyway, but God does like accountability. When you're wrong, you feel wrong. And then it's so crazy because like, I feel like, this is my own opinion, this is not God or this is not in the Bible, but I feel like everybody, like, I feel like women in general, like a lot of women that I know, there's something there to take accountability for. I can't speak for men. There's a lot of men that abandon their families, whatever. Anyway, we're not going to go into all everybody's stuff. So, but I low-key feel like this had to happen to us so that way we can like help each other heal and talk through and grow through these situations and stuff. And so basically I was on drugs really bad, and I started leaving my kids at my grandpa's house with my mom and my family. And I was blind. I couldn't see like myself. I couldn't see what I was doing. I couldn't see my behavior. I was just like, I just wanted to go hang out and be around everybody, and it was the thing to do, and be with the cool crowd and all this and that. And yeah, crazy. And then so anyway, long story short, I would like go back home, sober up for a little bit, then go back out, go home, sober up for my grandpa's house, sober up for a little bit, go back out, like that. And so this one time I go home and I'm sobering up, and then it's so demonic because like, I don't know, it's just demonic. And when you realize like how strong like the devil is and how much like he affects everything, whether it's God, by God's design, or God co-signs the behavior, the devil's attacks, whatever it may be. So I'm at my grandpa's house, and I have my kids and they're little. And so I'm like there with them. I go put them in the bathtub, all 3 of them. Because, okay, so my oldest son and my twins are only like 9 months to a year apart. They're only like, they're very much close in age. So I go put them all in the bathtub to take a bath. I can't remember the age, like 2 and 3 something. I don't know the age, can't remember. And I go out and I get on the computer. Like, we had like a desktop computer, and I was like on the computer, just this weird, all this, anyway. So I'm like out there on the computer and stuff, and I remember like listening to like this demonic music, I'm not gonna blame that. Anyway, I was coming down. I was high on meth. I was coming down. I never brought drugs to my grandpa's house. That's one thing that, at least for me and my sister, like, well, I don't know about her. Eventually, we started bringing them, but there was once a time where we were like, okay, we're not gonna disrespect my grandpa like that. You know what I mean? Like, it was just a lot of stuff. So, and then I go in the bathroom and I run in there, and my son is like underneath the water, and I fucking grab him, and I go and I'm fucking like patting him on the back. I don't know, it was just like, it was this was the most terrifying experience of my whole life, you know. And you can record me, you can watch me. I know, like, you know, you can zoom in and turn the volume way up. You could do whatever, because, you know, that's just how it is and stuff. And, you know, that's how God works and stuff. And so I'm like patting him on the back, and I'm so terrified. And like my grandpa, my mom, everybody was gone. It was just me and the kids at home. And I'm just like devastated, and I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't know. So anyway, basically I take him out into the living room, and I'm literally screaming, crying, and begging for my life. Like, yeah, this is where you sit with it, and you know, and you just like relive it, you know. And so anyway, I begged God to bring him back. He wasn't, I don't think he was like dead or anything, but I was just so scared, and I was like, oh my God, my mind was like, my mind was going to like all of these evil places, like I'm gonna go to prison, or, well, it wasn't even prison, it was more so like thinking of like them coming back and me like having him in my arms and him being like gone. And I'm just like, no, 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 like, no, I don't want that to happen, no, like, you know. And so basically, I called, I was asking God, like, I was praying. And mind you, I'm not even religious at this point in my life. I didn't know Jesus, I didn't know God, I didn't know angels and demons or anything. I just knew getting high, that's it. And it was almost like, I don't know. And then so anyway, I'm like helping him, and I'm like, you know, praying, and I'm helping, and I'm praying, and anyway, I come to this conclusion, and I said, God, if you bring him back, I will quit the drugs. I will quit the drug addiction. And then he like came back, and he like got okay. And it wasn't like he was like super okay. It was just so scary. And like, that's what I'm saying, like, people, like, they say so many things about like other people, but then like you don't even know, you know, like, you judge when you don't even know. And then that's why, like, whenever like I like talk to people and things, and like they're like so evil and negative and ugly, I'm just like, you never been through like anything that has humbled you down. God has never, you know, put you through something so severe where you think you're still able to like mistreat and mishandle people, you know. But that was like the most scariest thing of my life that ever happened to me. And the only time that I've ever told anyone about it, I didn't even, you know what, like, I had so, even till this day, like, and I know that some of my siblings can attest to this, but I don't care if you can or if you can't, but like, I could never, like take those vulnerabilities to my mother, to my I'm not even, we don't even have like a close knit relationship with the family members. So like I wasn't gonna just go, oh my god, auntie and uncle, grandma and grandpa, like I wasn't gonna go tell all that stuff. But then I know that like my grandpa was like a deep person. Like I know that even though he might have been like, exterior like this, I know that he was a deep person and that he cared and he knew. But yeah, and then so basically I couldn't tell nobody. And then I moved out to the city because after you like continuously go or get into it with like your family and stuff, you realize like these people don't even care about me, so I gotta go get my own life together, and that like and then the boomer generation believes that when you turn 18 you got to get the hell out, whatever don't teach you nothing but yet kick you out the door, okay, whatever. And so I moved to that town, and then like towards like the middle part of living out there, I got linked up with a pastor, and then he put me together with these people. And then like even that situation, like, and this is why like it's so weird to say all this, but like I'm not attacking God's church, but sometimes like when they don't know how to respond to your vulnerabilities, like they do it in a way that is not healthy to the person, and it's like, okay. But anyway, so I basically opened up to this church lady because I felt like I could trust her. This is what God was talking about. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Anyway, so I opened up to her, and I, because then they say like if you're trying to conceal things, it's not good. So I opened up and I told her about it. I said he drowned, and I begged God and all this and that. And she's like, you know what? She's like, just don't tell nobody else about that. She's like, just keep that between you and God, and don't like say this and that. Don't do that and whatever. And I'm like, okay, but if my vulnerability could set somebody else free, then I'm gonna tell about it, and so that's what that is. And it's hard, you know what I mean? Like, and then another thing, another side to this whole thing is like women are attacked the most, especially like the ones that have good hearts. Like I know people think that like girls being on drugs and shooting meth and smoking meth and doing all this, like they're just like these evil women and they're prostitutes and they're just like damned for hell or whatever. But like me, I've came across the most loving, caring, and understanding type of people like in drug addiction. And just because like they have like they're in chains and shackles, you can like to perceive somebody in drug addiction, you can't see their chains and their shackles. You don't know why they're like that, but God does. But to like mishandle and mistreat people because they're doing this said thing, and that's why sometimes, I don't know, I can't get into all that, but anyway, that's why I think that people need to be more sensitive to other people, is because, the real threat is not even the drug addiction. But I don't even necessarily know what the real threat is. I think it's the judgment of the drug addict, the judgment of judging them and talking down on them, misjudging, mistreating. And then it's like, okay, so when we all go to treatment, when every woman that has children got them taken through the CPS, dealing with fucking CPS, then you get your kids taken and you go into treatment, and you literally have to sit down, you have to talk about all this stuff and realize that you are a piece of shit and you neglected your children because you were leaving them. Like that's how they make you feel. And I'm not saying that people do it on purpose. It's like this feeling of like guilt, that but then it's also people like they want you to feel worse than the way that they feel. And I refuse that, because I know that when God does bring the realization to mothers, that we understand that we were wrong and that we are sorry. And even though it takes you a couple of years to get out of the tangle of drug addiction, you get out of it and you change your life and you make changes, But then there always be the people that want to tear you down and make you feel like, like, oh, you did this, you did that. I did do this and I did do that, but I don't do that and I don't do this and that till this day. And even the accident that happened with my son, like, it was so heartbreaking. And like, how could you, and I don't even know, there's things that I've been through. It's all the grace of God, because there was this video, this guy said God's grace is the way that you went through something and you weren't as affected by it. There's a reason. Okay, like, there's some women that went through something, men too, and then they hate women or they hate men. They feel like they gotta pay the men, like, you know what I mean? They just have this like weird hatred for people because of what happened to them, and they take it out on everybody. Everybody that gets into their grasp, or their entangled with a relationship with them. They want to abuse them because of something, that they're not healing. So and for me, by the grace of God, that didn't happen to me. And it was all by God's grace that I stayed the way I stayed and was the way I was, felt the way I did, felt guilty, felt like a piece of shit, like I am a piece of shit, and then but then you don't have to sit with it, and you allow God to give you the identity that He intentionally created you to be, and that's one thing that whenever, like, through all of these different seasons of my life, like, I always knew, like, my kids, okay, when I first had my kids, I mean, taking care of my siblings, I've been a mom since I was like 8 years old. I've been a little mom since I was 8 years old, taking care of kids. And so when I naturally had my children, the natural instincts kick in and you become a mom. But then there's like a demonic thing that God orchestrates that you must go through and get through. However the trail was supposed to go is how, whatever God willed that you were supposed to go through, you were going to go through it, But whenever I had my kids, I knew I loved them. But then whenever the drug addiction took over, I couldn't. I was chained and shackled and a slave to my sin, and then whenever those chains and stuff, but all through these seasons, I knew that I loved my kids. They were my responsibility. I had to take care of them. I had to lead them back to Christ in a healthy way, and so all of this stuff, so you can judge me and you can say whatever, but yeah, that's just my hard testimony. And people act like these things are easy to talk about. They are so hurtful. And that's why I said, like, God, but if you're willing to face it, if you're willing to face it and look at it and talk about it and relive it and all this and that, yeah, it's very much there, and it's very sad, very disturbed. Some things are disturbing, and that's why I said, like, I don't know. But our identity ultimately is rooted in Christ. And whenever you find your identity back to that, you're no longer confused, And even like anyway, there's a lot that I want to talk about. I wish I could make a Patreon and learn how to get on there so I could just talk and get rid of this phone and try to put some kind of like spyware thing on my phone so that way they can't hack in and be like doing weird stuff. But yeah, I love you guys. Thank you. Bye.